you got for the next term? Jenna? Negative 28. And for the next one? Kira? 196. You'll notice that when the common ratio is negative, it'll alternate positive, negative, positive, negative. And then the next one, we should have 15, negative 15, and positive 15. Just multiplying by negative 1, flipping the sign around. Okay. Then we also have some problems where we'll be asked to find, say, like the 10th term or the 5th term. Nope, find the indicated term. So just like from yesterday, when you look at the subscript of 5, that's telling you n is 5. So you're looking for the 5th term. So you have two options. You could actually just list out all the terms. 3 times 6 times 6 times 6 and find out what the 5th term is. Or you can use the formula, because say they wanted you to find like a sub 100. You might not want to list out all 100 terms. So you'll just substitute in, a sub 1 is 3, r is 6, again I'll put parentheses around that, and then this would be to the 5 minus 1 power. 5 minus 1 will get me 6 to the 4th. 6 to the 4th is not 24, it's something really big, so it's 6 times 6 4 times. So in our calculator we can type 6 to the 4th times 3, and we'll get 3,888. Now the next one, they want the 3rd term. You might just want to list the terms. It'd be 7 times 2 is 14 times 2 is 28. The answer is 28. But if you want, you can also use the formula. Plugging in 3 for n, you get 7 times 2 to the 2nd, 7 times 4, which is 28. But if they ask you for like a low term number, you might just find it easier just to list out that term number. And then on the back we have the sequences are given to us, and they ask us to write the general formula. So in order to write the general formula, you just have to identify what the first term is and what the common ratio is and plug in. So step 1, identify the first term to be A1. Step 2, find the common ratio. Now if you can't observe the common ratio, you can actually calculate it. So for example, like let's say you don't notice it's 4 times 3. You can always take the second number and divide by the first number, and that'll tell you what the common ratio is. 12 divided by 4 is 3. Or you could do the 3rd term divided by the 2nd term. That'll help you figure out what it is. But most of them you'll be able to just identify. There's a couple in the homework where it's a fraction and you might struggle to find out what it is. So just plug those in. Again, you may want to be careful and use parentheses around the r, because if it's a negative and you're raising a negative to an exponent, it needs to be grouped. Same thing with fractions. So in example A, our first term is 4, so that's a sub 1. The common ratio we can see times 3 times 3. And so we plug in. We'll have a sub n equals 4 times 3 to the n minus 1 power. Make sure that when I'm looking at your paper, I can definitely tell n minus 1 is an exponent and not after it as a number. If you want, you can put parentheses around that too. Sometimes then in your homework, they'll ask you to find like a to the 12th. I don't know, I'm just making this up. So if that happens in the homework, all you're going to do is plug in 12. And then you could do that on your calculator, because it's going to be really big. 4 times 3 to the 11th power. 708,000. I just kind of added that into this example just to show one of those. So I think the homework directions follow along. Okay, example B, we can see that we clearly have a sub 1 is 10. What's the common ratio this time? 1/2. A lot of students will make the mistake of saying 2, because it's dividing by 2, but it has to be multiplication, so they're multiplying by 1/2. So that's our R. So our formula would be a sub n equals 10 times, you again need to have parentheses, especially around this one, because you'll have to remember, let's say we have to raise it to the 5th power. You have to raise the top and the bottom to the 5th power. And then, again, sometimes they'll ask you to plug something in. We won't do it on this one, but if they did, you just plug it in for n and evaluate. And then a sub 1 is 6. What's our common ratio this time? Jenna? Yes. It's multiplying by negative 1/6. Again, if you struggle, just take that second term divided by the first term. Negative 1 divided by 6 is what they're multiplying by. Negative 1/6. So that's our R. Again, definitely want parentheses around that. And every year someone's like, can I just multiply those together and simplify it? No. Because remember, your order of operations would tell you to do exponents first and then multiplication. You have to have parentheses around that or you will lose a half point for not having it in front of your book. And then our closure, real quick, asks us to list the first 3 terms in our geometric sequence. Again, the first one's given to us, so what would our other 2 be? Here? You got it. Multiply by negative 2. They will alternate into those. The rest of the time is yours to work on that homework assignment.